Are you looking to take the next step toward investing in commercial real estate but don't know where to go? CRE Central offers a comprehensive education and coaching platform designed to help you get started. Our online courses cover a wide range of topics, from the fundamentals to advanced strategies, ensuring you have the knowledge and skills needed to thrive in this competitive industry. As a member, you'll gain access to our exclusive online community and monthly group coaching calls, providing you with valuable networking opportunities and personalized guidance from experienced professionals. Whether you're a beginner or looking to take your career to the next level, CRE Central has the resources you need. Visit www.crecentral.com to learn more. Welcome back to the Commercial Real Estate Investor Podcast, live from the Cobble Group Studios here in Nashville, Tennessee, for another round of office hours. This is my weekly live stream on YouTube, going live, answering whatever questions you have around commercial real estate, and giving you some updates as to what I am up to along the way as well. As always, we've at least done it for the last couple of weeks, and I would imagine we'll probably continue to do it moving forward since you all love it so much. We are doing a giveaway every Tuesday, 8:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. Join. The only thing you have to do to get in on the giveaway is drop a comment or a question in the live chat. Let me know what is going on in your world. Looks like we got Jorge and Dylan Shabo already jumping into the live chat. Couple of updates from me. You probably noticed a new ad roll as we were coming on to the show. I have rebranded CRE Launch Pro into CRE Central. I think CRE Launch Pro is just too many words, and I got tired of hearing too many words on every ad roll coming into the show. So we've rebranded it to CRE Central. I think that is a much better name for what it is anyway. It is a centralized location where we are going to be putting all of our educational materials, all of our group coaching, one-on-one coaching, any free trainings that we have, it will all be on that one website. So CRE Central made a little more sense to me to have it that way. This past week, I've been spending a lot of time working on the course and working on our group coaching program, the CRE Accelerator, because I think that, we've got enough people in there now. It's time to step it up. It's been kind of crazy. It was funny. I was telling the group yesterday in our group coaching call, I didn't really start this with the intent of getting into group coaching and doing courses. I just started a YouTube channel back in 2020, and it's been really fun to see how the community has grown, just because there's not that much information out there on commercial real estate. That's why I started it, right? I was frustrated. I was in your shoes when I first joined the industry almost 11 years ago. There was not a whole lot of opportunity to really learn anything unless you wanted to just work for someone for a few years, which, it's a great way to learn, but not all of us have that luxury. Later today, I'm doing an interview with Matt Anderson, a good buddy of mine here in Nashville, and he's going to be talking about how he built a $25 million commercial real estate portfolio part-time. Damn, I wish I could have listened to that podcast when I was, 24, 25. Would have been great. But yeah, we finally built out like a true online platform for the group coaching, which means everything is actually hosted on one platform. So all of our recordings of the group coaching calls will be hosted on there. We'll be able to do some challenges and have do some fun things like that. So I'm really looking forward to that. I'm excited about it. This past week has been a crazy one for me. I feel like I look at my calendar, and, if you're watching on live, that's basically like 7 a.m. until 6 p.m., 6:30 p.m. today. I've just got back-to-backs, and pretty much every day is like that. I prefer days like this. I do occasionally miss how slow it was during the pandemic. It was actually pretty nice. That's where the YouTube channel came from. That's where I started writing more. I do enjoy that, but man, does it make your days go by a lot faster when they are full. It's a lot of fun. So working through some new investment opportunities. We're looking at a second version of the wash right now, as you may have heard, out towards Chattanooga. We are working on an industrial outdoor storage facility and an indoor climate-controlled self-storage facility. So Hoping to get those off the ground here this year. We're probably going to be raising capital for that. And then I've got our hotel. We finally got our permits. So I know I've updated you all on that. I'm probably going to keep saying that because damn, I have been working on that for 2 years and I just feel really good that we finally got that going. It's a little bit comforting to hear that there are many other developers that are in our shoes that have been waiting for over a year, close to 2 years as well to get their permits. But at the same time, it doesn't solve the problem, right? Like, yeah, it might make me feel warm and fuzzy, but that's still 2 years that we basically, everybody loses, right? Everybody in the situation loses. The developer loses, the investors lose, the city loses, the taxpayers lose because there's so much more in taxes. I mean, think about it. That lot is vacant, which means we have the lowest tax base we possibly will have for that lot for the future. Whereas it could be a hotel right now delivering property taxes and hotel taxes to the city. That's just a lot of money that, everybody's missing out on. All right, Jorge is saying, good morning, Tyler. Hoping you have another successful day. Thank you, Jorge. Right back at you, man. This may be something for a full episode, but how do you determine the maximum allowable offer on a property? So maximum allowable offer is more of a residential term. You don't typically hear that too often in commercial real estate. I would imagine it's because there's just not as much education around commercial real estate. And so you don't have a lot of the hey, here's the formula, here's the maximum, MAO. When it comes to commercial properties, I just look at comps, right? I look at the comps and I determine, here's what I need to make as a return on this investment. So if I need to make, a 6 to 8% cash on cash return once it's stabilized, hopefully you're getting more than that, and an 18 to 22% internal rate of return over the next 5 years when you sell it, then I'm going to basically back into it, and that will help me determine what my maximum allowable offer is. It's really tough to kind of bring the MAO into commercial real estate because there are so many factors. Like residential is so simple and straightforward, right? You buy a house, you rent it out, maybe you throw some paint on it, do a little landlord special, make sure you paint the light switches. We don't want those to go unpainted. And then, you just throw it up there and rent it out. And maybe you make $100 in cash flow a month and you really hope that the HVAC unit doesn't blow out, right? I can't stand residential investing. Whereas in commercial, do you want to put $10,000 into the space or do you want to put $150,000 into the space? Do you want to rent it as is at a very cheap rate or do you want to rent it for market rates and put a bunch of money into it? There's so many different avenues that you can take. Do you want to rent it to one tenant or do you want to rent it to 5? And split up the space. So it really all comes down to what is your investment strategy? And Jorge, you're absolutely right. We could now that I'm realizing we've been talking about this for like 4 minutes now, I could definitely do a whole episode on that. But I hope that helps. I hope that gets you kind of started in the right direction there. Let's see. Dylan Shabo is saying, can you get a loan on an empty piece of land for a business? Yeah, absolutely you can. So, you'll want to have some plans put together for what you're going to build there for the business. I mean, maybe you're just doing it as an, vacant lot. But even then, if you're doing it as a vacant lot and your business is going to be occupying it, the SBA or your lender is going to be looking at your business and what you plan to do with it, right? So you'll want to have some pro formas put together, cash flow projections to show them how and what you're going to be doing. If you're planning on building on this empty lot, then they'll want to see, architectural and engineering plans. They'll want to see, bids from contractors. They'll want to make sure that you have everything pulled together before they're willing to just give you the money to close on it. Typically, what I recommend is if you're buying land, just close on it in cash and then use that as your collateral to get a construction loan. If you're doing the project right, it's not going to be that much more than the 20% required down payment anyway, right? It's probably going to be about the same. So something to keep in mind, and it'll make your life so much easier, I promise. Banks love to give construction loans. They are a lot slower to give acquisition and development loans. So there you have it. Allison, good morning, Tyler. Good morning, Allison. Pros and cons of giving a dollar number versus negotiable versus leaving blank rental rates. What do you prefer and why? Oh gosh, I have a good story on this one. So Back when I was a wee little broker, this was probably 2014, I sent out an email blast. And the client that I was working for at the time, and keep in mind, this is like 1 year into my brokerage business. My only client was the developer that I worked for. So 100% of what I knew about leasing commercial real estate came from him. Well, he preferred that we kept everything negotiable or, call broker for rate, right? Something along those lines. I never thought anything of it. I just thought that that's kind of what you did. And he still works in Nashville today. He owns his own boutique commercial real estate brokerage. And, I sent out an email blast to all the brokers in Nashville that said, hey, we've got this retail space available. The rate is, call broker for the rate. He sends me an email back and he's like, "You're wasting my time by sending this out and not giving me a rate. What's the point?" He sent me an email that he was really upset about. I'm reading this going, what in the hell is wrong with this guy? I thought this is how this business is done. So of course, me being a smart ass, I sent him an email back that said, "Hey man, sorry for ruining your day. Here's the price." He sent me back another tirade of just, "You didn't ruin my day. How dare you think that you did that?" I got him good. So that being said, I think that it depends on the asset. If you've got a Class C shopping center, give me the damn price, right? There's no point. Let's not be coy about this. If you have something that is unbelievably special or unique, and there's a reason that it is so compelling, I'm going to call you anyway because I want to get more information on the space, totally fine. But if it's just your standard run-of-the-mill property, I think just put the price on there. There's no sense. You're actually gonna pre-qualify a lot of people that will waste your time anyway. And the only time I ever put negotiable is if it's this is a big deal, right? This is something special. This is something unique. We need to talk about it. Or there's just a lot of moving factors, right? The landlord may be willing to do a TI package or free rent or something that's crazy that would completely change the rental rate. And we don't necessarily want to, set the wrong expectation of pricing. So that's a long-winded way of saying it depends, which unfortunately is everything in commercial real estate. But I hope that kind of gets you in the right direction, Allison. The CRA group is saying, "Hey, from NODAC again. What's up, Kristen? Thanks for joining us. Hope everything is starting to look like summer in North Dakota." It's been cold in Nashville. I've got to imagine it's got to be cold there. Derek is saying, "Good morning, all." Good morning, Derek. Frank, good morning. Thanks for the time once again. Of course, happy to do it. Y'all are always welcome to join me Tuesdays, 8:30 a.m. Central Standard Time to dive into all this. What are the most important things you like to have in place in a lease in order to protect yourself as a commercial landlord? Ooh, that is a good one. Okay, so funny enough, we're actually doing part 2 of negotiating commercial leases for the Brokers Roundtable this afternoon. So join in on that, 3:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. And if you're listening to this after the fact, it should be a few episodes away from this podcast. But clauses that I like to have. One, a personal guarantee, right? The majority of tenants that we deal with are LLCs. They're typically local to regional businesses, right? At least on my properties. So we do have a bunch of national tenants as well, but that's a totally different thing. So, the problem with an LLC is that it can be dissolved overnight. People can disappear, or it could just never be dissolved. You could pull all the money out of it and it's just a shell and there's nothing to go after. So I have a personal guarantee from anybody that owns 10% or more of the business. And that's so that they don't sign a lease. I give them tenant improvement allowance dollars or pay broker commissions or whatever costs I'm going to have of going through that, because it's never free for a landlord to just sign a lease. And they just disappear and don't pay rent, right? So if they're personally guaranteeing the lease, that means that the only way they can actually get out of those rent obligations is if they file for personal bankruptcy. And most people aren't willing to do that. Some people are, and they think that that's a great way to solve a lot of problems because you get to just walk away from your debts. But most people are not willing to do it because it will screw you for about 7 to 8 years when it comes to getting loans or doing any sort of business. So at least at that point, it makes them want to come back to the table and talk to you. Of course, another thing is your insurance, right? A lot of people don't pay as much attention to this as you really should. You have insurance requirements in your lease for a reason, and it's good to have them. Almost every lease I've ever seen has them, but most people don't enforce it or don't pay attention to it, right? So that's one thing that my property management company does is we do insurance audits. Do we have certificates of insurance from every tenant for the amount of liability or whatever is on the lease that states what they are supposed to have? We had a tenant one time that had some damage done to a roof in their property, and they were supposed to have this was a property that we had taken over, so we were in the process of going through and figuring all of this out. Like who do we need to get COIs from? The roof got damaged, and their insurance would have covered that if they had had insurance. They did not have insurance, but it was their responsibility in the lease, which meant they had to pay for the roof. So it's as much of a protection for you as a landlord as it is for the tenant. I also like to be very strict on my, late clauses and stuff like that. If you're rent's due on the 1st, it's late by the 5th, and it starts to accrue from there. Things like that. But honestly, you want to know the best thing that you can do to protect yourself as a commercial landlord? Have a conversation with the tenant. Sit down with them as you're signing the lease and go through every damn clause and make sure they understand exactly what they're signing and get the questions out of the way on the front end. I've seen a lot of landlords that try and just sneak one past. I'm like, I get what you're trying to do, but it's going to cause some issues at some point. So you might as well just be a good person, be a good landlord, have the conversation with them on the front end and be like, hey, here's how this is going to work. Do you have any questions on that? That is honestly the best insurance policy you could get for yourself. Gabe is asking for updates on Salt Ranch. Gabe, we got our permits a couple weeks ago. So we met with our contractor this past week. We are getting the plumbing crew and the electrical crew out there to kind of do their survey and figure out exactly what we need to take the next steps. And we're about to get started. So really excited for that. Drea saying happy Tuesday. Hello, I appreciate you. Thank you, Drea. Excited that you're joining us. Let's see, Jorge. Thanks, Tyler. It does help. Awesome, man. Glad to hear it. Sometimes I give these answers. I'm like, man, I feel like I just walked in a circle. I don't know if that was really helpful at all. Derek, what is your opinion on a ground lease? We actually just wrote up a blog post on my website. If you go to tylercobble.com/blog, talking all about ground leases. And Derek, my opinion on them varies depending on what the deal is. So if you're a business and you're wanting to sign a ground lease to build a building, I don't know that it makes sense. Or if you're an investor that is wanting to do a ground lease, or wanting to buy a ground lease, or you're buying a building that has a ground lease, I don't know that it makes sense. Like I wouldn't buy a piece of commercial real estate that didn't own the dirt beneath it, unless it was like a 99-year lease for a building, down on, Main Street in Maine in New York City, right? It's very common in somewhere like New York City for you to have these massive towers that sit on ground leases because the families own the land. They know how valuable it is. They're not going to sell it to a developer, so they give them a 99-year ground lease. Developer comes in and builds it. It can work in situations like that, but more often than not, it doesn't. Like in Nashville, there are very few places where it would make sense to do a ground lease. All right, let's see. Amrita. Hey, Amrita, what's going on? She's saying, if there is a commercial property and a residential triplex on the same property, for loans, can this qualify under residential mortgage? Oh, that is a good question. I would assume no, simply because if there is a commercial property there and a residential triplex, that's probably going to be considered an investment. That will likely depend on the lender, though. And you would have to live on site for it to be considered a residential mortgage. Otherwise, it's going to be, an investment. So, if you're going, and I think if you're going for FHA, they don't allow anything commercial going on the property. So I would imagine that you're probably going to be going under a commercial loan. But that is a question that I would take to a lender, because I think some banks are going to have different policies when it comes to that. I mean, that's a really good question. I actually don't know that. I'm going to ask. I'm going to ask my buddy about that, because I don't know the answer. Like 100%. That's something I need to know. I'm curious now. All right, Dave and Christy, Tyler, good morning. What kind of property management software do you recommend for managing commercial property? So we use a program called Resman. This is not an endorsement. I think Resman's fine. It works for us. I think, we've used Buildium before. We've never used Appfolio. I liked Buildium. I had no problems with it. That is also not an endorsement. Gosh, I'm trying to think of what the first one we ever used was. It was like so bare bones. It's not even really but I mean, it was a property management software. I like Resman. I think at the end of the day, I think it's whatever software you're actually going to use, right? It's like, I have this conversation with the brokers all the time. Like, the best CRM is one that you're actually going to use. Resman is great. Buildium is great. They all get the job done. And I know a lot of people use Appfolio, right? So Resman used to be just residential management, hence the name Resman. But it was a smaller company, and my partners have worked with them quite a bit, and they built out the commercial real estate side of things kind of based on our feedback and input to them. So it's like perfect for us, which is great. Evan is saying, how do I talk about partnering to an older investor without coming across desperate? He would fund it for an equity partner, and I would manage construction operations. Also, he brought up partnering. Well, hell, Evan, if he brought up partnering, I don't think you're going to come across as desperate. I think it's a great situation, man. I would jump all over that. I mean, that's how I did my first deal. I came out, I partnered with a developer that had the money, had the connections. I put in all of the sweat equity into it. Here's what I would say. I would tell them, look, you're going to put up the money. You're going to help me get the loan, which means you're taking almost all of the risk. I will work on this project until it is done. You will get paid back first, and then I will get paid as well. I want 10% equity in the project, and go out there and bust your ass and learn everything you can. That's what I did on my first deal. A lot of people think that 10% is not a lot, but let me tell you this. If you are not putting up a single dollar and you are not signing on a note, still to this day, right now, if somebody came up to me and said, Tyler, I will sign on the note and I will give you all the money to do a deal, will you take 10%? I would say, hell yeah, where do I sign? That is a phenomenal deal. Trust me, because you don't have any financial risk. And all you have to do is go out there and perform. So, if you can set up a deal like that for 10%, hey, if you can negotiate better than 10%, go for it. But I'm just saying, like, I would be happy with 10%. So if you can get 15, 17.25, cool. But I would just tell them, Evan, sit down. Use ChatGPT, right? Say, I'm going to work as the sweat equity partner on a commercial real estate development project. Please put together a scope of my services and work to present to my financial partners, and it'll put together a whole thing for you. It's kind of wild. So then you can just sit down with your partner and say, look, here's everything that I'm going to do, and where do I sign? I think that'd be a great way to do it. Jeff, what's going on, man? Good morning, brother. Question, revisited from Vermont. Where are you killing it, and where are you flirting with disaster, personal or professional? Anything the community can help you with right now? Oh gosh, so Jeff is in my mastermind. We met up in Burlington, Vermont, back in January. He's actually coming into Nashville this week. So Jeff, looking forward to seeing you, man. That is a great question. Where are you killing it, and where are you flirting with disaster? Man, where am I killing it? I would say that I'm killing it when it comes to social media content right now. I'm feeling really good with the amount of podcast episodes, live streams, the quality of the produced videos that we're doing here on the YouTube channel. I've really, it's great. We've been kind of fine tuning this machine for about 4 years now. So it's really cool to see it kind of coming together. Where am I flirting with disaster? Personal or professional? I'm trying to think. Okay. So flirting with disaster, I mean, this is nothing new. This is something that I've always dealt with. And I think that any commercial real estate investor is going to deal with this is cash flow, right? So I have this problem where if I have more than 6 figures in a bank account, I have to put it into real estate. So because of that, I always keep very little cash on me. Well, there's pros and cons to that, right? Like that's a good thing in many ways. It's not like I'm going out and spending it on cars. But it's bad because, it's nice to be liquid sometimes. Sometimes it is nice to just have a bunch of cash sitting there. For whatever reason, I haven't been able to do that. I can't do it. So, that's not, I guess that's the closest to flirting with disaster where I am right now. That being said, it's not like we have any cash flow issues. Like we don't have anything going on where I'm worried that that's going to become a problem, but that is something to where that could be a problem. Like if something happened, if all of a sudden the brokerage didn't close a deal for 3 months, then we might have some problems, right? There's just things like that. So that's one of my goals this year is to invest specifically for cash flow. Jeff, you'll appreciate this. It is on my one sheet, right? So that is like my biggest goal this year is to invest strictly for cash flow. Over the past few years, since 2019, all I have done is invest for wealth building, which means I'm going in the ground up developments and the heavy value adds. There's no cash flow at all. But because of that, I've been able to grow my net worth significantly over the last 5 years. But, it doesn't come without pain, right? So that's probably where I am. Appreciate the question, man. Anything that the community can help me with right now, I would just love y'all's feedback. What are y'all liking about the show? What are you not liking about the show? I want to, continue to deliver the best high quality commercial real estate educational content out there. So, if you're listening to this, on YouTube, drop me a comment. Let me know what you like, what you don't like, what we could do better at. If you're listening to this on the podcast, rate and leave a review and I will read it. I promise you. So if you have feedback, I would love to listen to it. Drea is saying, how did you work office and retail listings in an up-and-coming area? Any lead generation tips? So, Drea, there's a couple of ways. One, join the Chamber of Commerce, right? There's a lot of office retail business owners that are in the Chamber of Commerce, and you can network with them there. I would say, honestly, just knocking on doors. You have like a 7.5% conversion rate on in-person meetings, right? So go hand out flyers. 7.5 out of 100 flyers you hand out will lead to a conversion. That doesn't mean you're going to close that deal. You'll probably close 10 to 20% of those deals. So, go out and just talk to them. The great thing about retail is more often than not, especially local boutiques, the business owner is in charge of the Instagram account. Just send them a DM. So, I was very intentional about that. Office buildings, go in and take a picture of their directory. They have them right there on the ground floor. Every single business is right there on one directory. That's what I used to do. I would just go in and take a picture of it, look up every single business and start, connecting with them on LinkedIn, sending them messages, whatever. As far as like getting office and retail listings, kind of the same thing. Sometimes you'll pick up subleases that way. Sometimes the owner of the building is there. But honestly, the best thing to do is to just send them letters and cold call and network. Make sure that you are, because you can look all these people up in your tax records. So send them all letters, cold call them, and start hanging out at local real estate investors associations. Get to know, the people that would know the investors, right? So when I first moved to East Nashville, my best friend, Brandon Miller, he owns Wagon Wheel Title. Well, guess what? Title companies know everyone. They are the underworld of real estate. They know everyone because they're closing the deals, right? So they're dealing with the investors. They're dealing with all that stuff. So find the people that are, also connected to the people that you want to be connected with. I hope that helps. Salome is saying, good morning, Tyler, watching from Kenya. Thank you, Salome. Good to see you. Vic in, good morning, Tyler. Dig, do you know a commercial investor local to Philly? I don't. But I would imagine you'd be able to just go in and Google it, see what you can find. See if there's some commercial real estate investing meetups out there. There's got to be. Philly's a big enough city. You're going to see some stuff like that. All right, I know we've got some other questions to get to. Unfortunately, I won't be able to get to them today. I got to make sure that I can get you all in here for the giveaway. So if you have a question that I was not able to get to, please drop it in the regular comments in the YouTube video, and I will make sure to get to you. So I'm going to put in everybody's names here now. We got Allison. We got the CRA group. Let's see. Let's see. I told you guys last week, like at some point, I will have we'll have somebody sitting in here that's going to help me put all of these names in here as I'm going through this process, but not today. I'm not quite there. Plus, it's also kind of nice to just sit in here by myself. I like not having people in the room when I'm doing these live streams, which I know is kind of funny because I'm live with a bunch of you all right now. But there is something nice about, you know, just being in a quiet room, me and my thoughts. Gosh, I got a lot of people jumping in last minute here. You guys are really trying to squeeze in the comments. All right, and that is it. Dwayne is saying pick me. Absolutely, Dwayne. We'll see what we can do, buddy. All right, guys. So let's see first what you're going to win. Of course, you know, on here we've got Tyler AI, underwriting spreadsheet, 1 month of group coaching, one-on-one coaching, open for business book. Oh, wow. Somebody got 1 month of group coaching. That's exciting to see. You can also win a copy of my book, Open for Business. You can win the Beginner's Guide to Commercial Real Estate, my course. So 1 month of group coaching. Let's see who the winner is. The gold color. The gold color is the winner. Thank you all for joining us today. Gold color, shoot me a DM on Instagram, and I will get you hooked up with 1 month of group coaching. Appreciate you all for joining us. Again, if you have any questions that I didn't get to, drop them in the comments below. I make sure to respond to everything. Appreciate you all, and I will see y'all in the next one. Are you looking to take the next step toward investing in commercial real estate but don't know where to go? CRE Central offers a comprehensive education and coaching platform designed to help you get started. Our online courses cover a wide range of topics, from the fundamentals to advanced strategies, ensuring you have the knowledge and skills needed to thrive in this competitive industry. As a member, you'll gain access to our exclusive online community and monthly group coaching calls, providing you with valuable networking opportunities and guidance from experienced professionals. Whether you're a beginner or looking to take your career to the next level, CRE Central has the resources you need. Visit www.crecentral.com to learn more.